about wrestlers, age in pro wrestling. I think that's the crux of this conversation. And this has been around for the longest time. Guys who retire for the 20th time, they have their, like Ric Flair, I think, is the peak example of just loving it so much that they just can't let it go. And in WWE's current case, I mean, a majority of their main eventers are all in their 40s. And, folks will argue that maybe that's when you hit your peak. And, I feel like just think about like the list of people who are in the main event right now. You have Goldberg in a main event match. CM Punk, John Cena, they're both main eventing right now. I think they're in their late 40s now. Yep. I mean, just guys. Seth Rollins, I think he's pushing 40. Cody Rhodes I think he's about to be 40. If not, he just turned 40. Roman Reigns is another one. I think he's early 40s now. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys. Randy Orton, thank you. There's another one, mid 40s. He's in his mid 40s right now. I mean, AJ Styles, thank you. There's another one, mid late 40s, I think. If we talk about AEW, I mean, Edge, Adam Copeland in his 50s. Sting, before he retired, was in his 50s, 60s, I think. Yeah. I mean, like these guys were like top talent, like people. And again, yeah, I guess that's the premise, and I'm gonna frame it a little more narrower. So we're gonna talk about like veterans and longevity. We're gonna do some longevity, and I want to do some comparisons between like young talent, the next generation, old school versus new school, and kind of like the business impact of this conversation. So Chris, I guess for yourself, like, who are some wrestlers that you feel like, and we talked about some of them, who are still performing at a high level later in their careers, and what do you feel like makes them stand out? Like, why do they still intrigue people?
I mean, you mentioned John Cena and CM Punk. I would bring them up. It has everything to do with fan appeal, right? I mean, a lot of these guys kind of hang in there because of their appeal to fans and their popularity and all that kind of stuff. So that's the main thing is that they're just super popular, super over. They bring in money because it is a business at the end of the day. So whether it's a moral thing or not, whether it's good to let the old dog do its thing, they're still drawing money, drawing eyeballs. So
Mm-hmm. David, same question. Who do you feel like is still performing at a high level, and why do you think they stand out?
I'll give it to Jericho.
Mm-hmm. He's in his 50s, right?
For right now, yeah.
Yeah.
And even just like being the first AEW champ, I think like I think even when he's stale, he still knows like how to turn it for the better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, hi guys, and just like the silly stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think that comes with a lot of wit. Like, I think that's not something that you can necessarily do when you're young, is like how to turn it into what you need it to be. Or I feel like even the payout might take a little longer. Like, for example, like on the young side of being booed, it's like Dom. Like, we had it with, not we, but like overall, like universally hated for how long before it started turning for the better for him.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when your season is Jericho or someone like that, like you can kind of turn it into your favor a little faster.
Yeah, I agree. And Jericho is very good at, like you said, kind of taking like I don't think he has go away heat. Maybe when he like right on that cusp, because I feel like he's disappeared for a little while now.
Yeah,
There was a some sense of like go away heat, and people just didn't want him wrestling. They felt like he was sucking the energy out of not matches, but like, taking someone's spot. That's always the conversation
right,
when people are in that position who've been around for like 30 plus years and he's got a main event title around his waist. That's always the conversation for
right.
anyone that age.
He's
But
brought
yeah,
it
like
up
you said,
too.
I feel,
He's like
huh?
the Jericho vortex, like kind of
Right.
sucking up talent.
Right. I mean, like that. But that's the thing. Like, he's aware of it, and they're all aware of it. But he actually like leans into it, and I think that's kind of I get a little bit of a kick out of that. Like Jericho and his TV time, he talked about that in his promos. Um,
Wait,
yeah, I mean, like that's a good one. And again, people do pay to see him. I feel like if he left AW and went to WWE, I think that the goodwill would return
oh yeah, he'd be
because
cool overnight.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So
Oh
I
yeah,
feel
for sure.
like if he came to WWE, I think then it shifts again, and maybe it's a short term like sugar rush where people are happy to see him, and then it kind of goes back into what people felt in AEW for Chris Jericho. But again, I do think that Jericho, I think he might do one last run or something in WWE. And it makes sense because that's kind of like where he became super popular. He was in WCW, of course, but like he didn't hit his popularity, I feel like, until he joined the WWF. But uh, Andres, same question. Who are some wrestlers that you feel like are performing at a high level in their later careers, and what makes them stand out to you?
I'll go with the one that I mentioned, Randy Orton. Uh, I mean, he's still like it's cool too, because like to the point like where David's saying like with Jericho, he's done so many cool like reinventing himself so many times, and he's
Hmm.
still such a good draw. But like Orton's kind of been consistent, I would say. He's had some like added names, but he's never really like changed like dramatically, and he's still a really good draw. And he's still
Yeah.
having great matches, and he's like not like in the main storyline, but he's around it.
Hmm.
He's a part of the main story. He's carrying the other wrestlers along with that, but like if he needs to be the main guy, he can do it too. So I feel like
Yeah.
he's still like S tier, good promos, S tier wrestling. He's entertaining. He had a great match with Joe Hendry. That was awesome. Like he's still a good character in general. And I mean, I don't know. I think for me, like he's someone who's been around but can still be that guy outside of the box, but also be the one in it too, being the main draw too.
I don't
Yeah.
think
I feel like, yeah, go for it.
I don't think Orton's aura is capable of having go away heat. Like in any position in his career, like he's either like good heel or some in betweener, kind of like anti-hero guy. Like wherever he wants to be, like I think he's generally pretty over with fans.
I think at the
Mhm.
very beginning when he had like the
Randy
the boy
TV.
next door haircut with like the when he had the shoulder sling and that kind of stuff. I don't know if it's go away heat, but I don't think people were buying what he was selling. So when he joined Evolution, and basically from then on, I feel like there has been like people who were either love to hate him or love to cheer him, but it wasn't like a go away type of thing. I will say though, being in that watching in that era with like John Cena versus Randy Orton. I don't think I had an issue with Randy Orton, but it's because they just kept revisiting that same feud for so many times. And now, like now that there was such a long gap between John Cena and Randy Orton feuding together because they had the match, I think, at Backlash. Like that was cool to see because there was such a long gap in between. Um, but yeah, like Randy Orton right now, I mean, like the guy looks like a freaking monster. Like he's in his, what is he, like 45, 46, something like that. I think this is the most jacked he's ever looked. Ever. Like, and I think that's the other thing that that is apparent for that generation of wrestlers like John Cena, Randy Orton. I mean, I'll give it to CM Punk and all those guys too. I mean, I think their lifestyle. I mean, the travel has changed dramatically. They're not wrestling 360 days a year. They're not waking up and opening a bottle of Jack Daniels to start the day.
Why
lifestyle. Well, then you'll end up like, I don't know, Greg the Hammer Valentine or somebody like that who looks like your gym teacher. But you know, like I feel like, yeah, like the lifestyle has shifted, and I feel like to that initial question, you know, why are they still performing at a high level? I just feel like that lifestyle changed, and it gives them the ability to do that. Shawn Michaels, I mean, he did the same
The
thing
last
too.
3 years, probably his best 3 years.
HBK.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like he did it into like 45 or something like that, 43, 44, something like that. I mean, that, yeah, honestly, like when I started watching and rewatching in 06, when like his return to WWE and then all those matches, subsequent matches after his back injury, I mean, like he was like, there was no comparison, like in the ring, how he sold things, his promos. I mean, like match of the year, like 3 or 4 years in a row. Jericho feud, the Undertaker feud. I mean, yeah, Cena at WrestleMania 23. It's one of my favorite. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And he was in his like late 30s, early 40s, basically, and then retired on a high note. And no one wants to bring up the Brothers of Destruction match at Crown Jewel, but you know,
get that bag.
Get that bag.
Yeah,
but besides that, yeah. So I guess let's use that as an example. So let's use Brothers of Destruction DX tag team match as an example for this next question. So do you feel like age is just a number in wrestling, or do you think there's a realistic shelf life for most wrestlers? And I guess whoever feels like you want to jump on that, go ahead.
Depends on your body, man.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's what makes you old.
I mean, there's a certain entertainment factor to see the old guy try to come back like that. There's a drama to it. I think there's a place for that kind of an archetype of just having the older wrestler kind of hang in there, or having like some kind of a redemption or something like that. But it needs to be tasteful in some sense, like a Ric Flair, like for instance, he's had many moments where that worked, you know, like for instance the Shawn Michaels retirement match, like that should have technically been it, but then you know he kept coming back, and it just kind of distorted his overall his legacy, I would say, because then he just kept, you know, just doing this thing. But then, you know, on the other end, I guess you got to kind of respect it. And, you know, it's fun watching a train wreck, I guess.
Well, I mean, I guess that's my question. Like, you know, for I feel like there's a shelf life there, and then at a certain point, you're just watching it for the shock factor, I guess.
Adam Copeland jumping off a cage on landing on his feet.
Yeah, on his heel or whatever, and
straight down.
He's like, "Oh, I'm not a cat."
Yeah, I get like I'm surprised his like kneecap didn't like shoot out of his leg.
I thought it was gonna look like a cartoon.
Yeah, or like the Mortal Kombat like creative fatality where it's just like the same 5 body parts popping up. Yeah,
right.
Like that's what I was expecting, but yeah.
The thing is with Ric Flair too is he's always been old since I've been watching wrestling. To be honest, like
right,
that's true. Yeah, I mean, like I remember like watching the WrestleMania 22 promo when I was like getting back into him. Like he's in a Money in the Bank ladder match. What the hell?
Is this smart?
Yeah.
Now we watch every Ric Flair match and go, "Is this smart?"
Like here's an example, like Hulk Hogan, for example. He's another good example. When do you feel like it became
TNA
unwatchable? Yeah, unwatchable. TNA. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Mr. America.
He was still putting on good matches that last run of WWE.
What makes you feel like it was unwatchable in TNA? Do you feel like it was Do you think it was the match quality? Do you feel like
1/3
it was
speed?
it's 1/3 speed, and I think I'll argue also like probably like storyline because it did kind of feel like whatever people thought about they were doing in WCW, it felt like they were doing in TNA
That
on
and
TV.
I feel like TNA in that time just had way too many leaks. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who talks to who and all that, but like I felt like being a kid going on no DQ that like TNA I could read and just be like, oh yeah, that's going on. Where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
WWE, take it with a grain of salt. It's like, yeah, Meltzer, you made 18 stories. One's got to be right. Broken clock kind of
Yep.
method.
Yep. So
And
I get what do you guys think in terms of like age? Because I say older wrestlers, but I feel like and old wrestlers, but I feel like everyone has a different threshold for what is old. You know what I mean? Like if someone's in their 40s, do you feel like they are old wrestlers? Like would you put them in the same camp as a Ric Flair or a Sting? Or
Sting and Ric
is it
Flair
case
aren't
by
even in
case?
the same camp. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Because Sting didn't look out of place in AEW.
Yeah.
I think
And he didn't look out of place against Rollins either.
I mean, to Sting's credit, I think it helps that he wears makeup and he has like a full suit versus like Ric Flair is in his underwear. And visually, it's just
But I mean, also,
different.
like, I feel like we never seen Sting like hobble around. Like he wasn't hobbling through any of his matches.
Yeah, he never looked old.
shit, he jumped off a freaking barricade or some
Right.
shit. Being
And like
65 years
Yeah.
old.
Well,
Yeah,
I think
dude.
that's the to the credit also I think of the producers and people who were putting together the matches. Like for Sting, for example, I mean, it's not like he was like always moving the whole time. I think they also made him look really good too. I feel like
right.
that there's also some factor into that. Like, are you making him look good? You know, like maybe like you're watching the whole match, you don't even realize that maybe he was only in there for like 30 seconds or a minute just
Right.
because of the way the match was built. You know what I mean?
Sting
Um,
Sting versus
yeah.
I think
Rollins was good till the buckle bomb.
Yeah, exactly. Until I thought he basically retired him permanently after that happened.
times
But
have
yeah,
really changed though with wrestling. I mean, like, because wrestlers don't stay full time forever anymore. And well, hi Mina.
I think
Sorry.
they go part time
Okay.
earlier.
Say hi, Mom. Say hello.
Kitty.
Sorry. Um, you
Because look at
know,
Taker.
yeah, look at Taker. I mean, people still wrestle and they. Hi, Mama. Sorry. How are you?
okay.
Um, times have changed and stuff, and wrestlers' careers kind of get a little bit more extended because they go part time for a while. And I mean, Diamond Dallas Page, when he came into WCW, he was in his 40s, I believe, when he actually like decided to become a wrestler. I think he was like 42,
That's true.
right? Or at least like
And
39 or something.
I mean, in that era too, like we talked about this off camera, but also like Hulk Hogan, he had like another renaissance in his I think he was early 40s,
Yeah, he just looked 50.
yeah, he looked
He's always
50,
looked
but
50.
yeah, yes, the dark leather. But yeah, early 40s. I mean, he had another renaissance with NWO. I think he was in his early 40s. If not like maybe like very like 39, 40, 41 in NWO. I mean, and that was also like its own phenomenon. Like all the pop culture crossovers with like the Bulls, the Jay Leno stuff and all that kind of stuff. Anything that was an era, and like people paid to see him, you know. And I guess my next question is in the current era with AEW and WWE. I guess Chris, do you feel like promotions are too reliant on older stars to pop ratings and ticket sales now? If you took a step back and looked at the current product for like AEW, WWE, do you feel like they're too reliant on it? Do you think it's the right mix?
I think it's a good mix. Because when you look at like main event stuff for at least like AEW, you're not seeing a lot of just like here's all a bunch of old guys, main eventing. You know what I mean? They're still.
I mean, some would argue like the Hurt Syndicate or like older
they,
guys.
they're I guess
Shelton Benjamin.
here's my thing to that, because like let's say they're 40, whatever, it's presentation and it's their athleticism and it's how they kind of take care of themselves, because like if they can hang in the ring, like I mean, and you're putting on good matches and you're doing your character service and all this kind of stuff, like who am I to tell that person? But it's more of like a, if the audience can tell that your time should be generally up, like a Ric Flair or somebody like that, then it's probably time to wrap it up. So it's more of like an optics and how you're being perceived as a wrestler versus like, whether you're 42 or 60 or whatever.
69.
Nice.
David, what do you think? Do you feel like they're too reliant on older stars, pop ratings?
I don't think so, but deep down, I know it's what sells the ticket.
Yeah.
Like, for example, Cena's last tour.
Yeah, I mean, like if they announced like John Cena, who is basically this past year or past generation's Hulk Hogan, writing on the wall, this is my last. Like, I think that's new, where someone announces that they're retiring, and I only have so many dates. I feel like that's new.
Yeah, that's some like Elton John.
Yeah, like here's my last tour.
Rolling
You
Stone.
see me before I retire. I don't think Elton John's touring. He's still making music.
No, he went on a retirement tour.
Yeah, he went on a retirement tour. He does like the occasional cameo, but it's not like a full like world tour. I'm traveling 60, 80 dates or whatever.
So
it
did
is.
Kiss though.
Huh? Oh, again, like Kiss, Rolling Stones, Guns N' Roses, Metallica, Black Sabbath. So I guess here's my other question in terms of the difference between WWE and AEW using their older talent. Do you feel like there is a difference between how they use their older talent, and if there is, what is it?
No difference.
It's the same tool. It's like we have the name recognition here. We're gonna put you in a spot where we can make some money.
Give the young boy a rub. Pause.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Because I feel like even if when people were saying like Jericho,
Copeland,
and this is I feel like I've been going back and forth on this because I feel like I've critiqued it in the past, and I'm kind of assessing like even when Jericho was the main event person, and I'm thinking of like the learning tree. Like I guess in theory there is like a faction that he's trying to give the rub to people who are in that faction, right? I guess it's a matter of, is it effective? Is the faction effective? Are the talent, do they have it in them to be effective? Because like, for example, Legacy with like Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, Ted DiBiase. Cody Rhodes ended up, making something of himself, and Ted DiBiase's in jail for, money fraud and stuff. So
for real, I didn't know that.
Everybody's got a price.
Yeah, everybody's got a price.
And I know she was in jail.
I don't know if he's still in jail, but he went to jail. The bottom line is like his trajectory, like his career went one way, and then Cody Rhodes went the other way. So
Cody's a champ, Ted's a felon.
Yeah, exactly. Put that on a t-shirt. Pro wrestling tees.
I think both companies kind of do it pretty well when they bring back old talent. I mean,
yeah,
I can't really recall too many like big names coming back and they're just like a huge flop. Like unless the crowd just didn't know who they were, or just been so long that like nobody knows who this wrestler is. But Goldberg. I mean, both companies, I think both do. Goldberg, yeah. Actually, no, that is one good one because I'm not looking forward to that at all. It's for the title too, right?
The Goldberg one, yeah. I hope he wins the title. I just want chaos. I want him to win it, and then maybe he could do what Bret Hart said he was gonna do. He was gonna retire it on Monday Night Raw or whatever.
Damn.
Or
Say,
have
this is
Seth
for you,
Rollins
Brett.
cash in. That would actually be kind of funny if Seth Rollins just like Goldberg won and then Seth cashed in on his belt. But we'll see, because apparently Seth Rollins is going after John Cena's belt, so we'll see where that goes. But side tangent. So I think I agree, because I feel like WWE, they've had like these peaks and valleys of like how often they use their older stars. Like the 2002, 2003 era where they had that influx of like WCW talent. And I mean, most of them I feel like were in their 30s and stuff. So it's not like it was just an influx of old talent, with the exception of, I guess, Hulk Hogan, Flair.
At least we don't do old school Raws to start the year every year anymore.
Yeah. Like it used to be like a gimmick too.
Raw goes old school.
To Papa rating for sure.
Right.
And now it's because Raw goes old school is like, oh, here's a bunch of cameos of like, here's the fucking
Coco Beware.
Coco Beware,
Love that guy.
The IRS guy, just cameos from it, Mae Young or whatever. I mean, it was fun because like I didn't get to see a lot of those people when they were active, and it for sure was to Papa rating. And now WWE has, before they had the issue where they didn't have enough young talent, and now I think they have so much talent they don't know what to do with them. And NXT is kind of being used as like the third brand, kind of developmental, kind of.
The Garzas got the AAA titles.
Yeah, now you got AAA. Now they're bleeding people, and they're like, "Well, we don't really want you on SmackDown, but you are our guys, so we want you to hold their titles," kind of deal. So there's a lot of spots where you could make a name for yourself. It's almost borderline overwhelming, if I'm being honest with you, with the amount of wrestling and content. But
right.
I think WWE.
NXT.
Yeah, I mean WWE's in a good position. And again, from a business perspective, who are your top T-shirt sales and merch people? You have John Cena for sure. CM Punk is a top seller. Cody Rhodes. Karrion Kross apparently had a shirt. I don't know if his shirt is still selling that high.
Ron Killings.
Ron Killings, yeah. Oh, there's another one. Like a guy in his 50s. I think he's about to have like another like renaissance in his career. And he's 52, 53 or whatever, and he still moves like he's in his 30s.
Or
he still moves like singles wrestler in TNA, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. And it kind of goes back to like lifestyle, and just so much has changed from like how wrestlers used to live and probably sleep like 4 hours a day, and then, like I said, wake up with Jack Daniels or some brandy and get the coffee in,
pop some pills,
and pop some exactly pill popping, and then get to work. I mean, it was brutal, and it's not like that anymore.
Truth open.
There's more rules though.
Like that's crazy to say out loud.
Truth open for what?
Tupac.
Oh, that is crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's just, how old is Truth? He opened for Tupac.
Yeah, that's how old he is. So let me ask you, and I guess this is kind of, we've talked about this a little bit, and we just talked about R-Truth, and I guess we can kind of expand on that before we wrap up this episode. But do you feel like a 20-year veteran can still reinvent themselves to keep up with today's wrestling landscape?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Jericho. We talked about, R-Truth, who I think had one of the best promos of the year. Like it was like part emotional. I was also like, oh man, he's about to be like mad. Like I wasn't sure what was happening. But I mean that promo was so good, and then he cut his hair on live TV.
We mentioned before, but The Rock's also kind of done with the big boss or the final boss.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, the final boss. I mean, like he reinvented himself, and he didn't need to either. Like he could have rode off in the sunset with his Rudy Poo and if you smell catchphrases. but
Yep.
he became I think a much more interesting character, and probably the most interesting he's ever been from the past 3 years that he had the
Mysterio
run. You know, Rey Mysterio. There's another
just
one.
gets to be like, I'm Rey Mysterio, but his body still moves, so it's just like,
Yeah, like like his is a little slower, but like even like his slow is like a lot of guys in their 20s or 30s like normal. You know,
yeah.
so I mean it's amazing. Good genetics, I'm sure that helps. Um, so I guess okay, one last one before we wrap up. So if you look, oh, these are two good questions.
All right, last two.
All right, last two. Okay, let's do this one. If you had to build a roster of 5 wrestlers who are all over 40 years old, who would you be? Who would be the 5 people on your roster who are over 40?
Over
And
40.
I guess I could start. For sure, I'll say CM Punk. I'll say John Cena.
Boo, boo.
I'll say I'll say Randy Orton. Like guys over 40. I'm trying to think.
Is Kenny
And
over
again,
40
like
yet?
Yep, he's
yeah,
41.
yeah. Then I'll say Kenny Omega.
Ah.
I mean, you can include Kenny Omega. Like, it's not like you have to come up with 5 unique people.
Yeah.
And again, like over 40 could also be someone in their 60s. And I'm like thinking, I think I might put in Sting as maybe not necessarily as like an in-ring talent, but maybe like a manager or somebody like that. So I'll say those guys, those 5. Chris, did you have names? You think you got 5 on you?
I got bars. Let's see. Kenny, AJ Styles, Orton. I'll throw Punk in there. Ooh. Fuck it, I'll put Truth in there too.
Oh, there you go. Also, apologies. It sounds like a rack outside. People just shooting fireworks.
Yeah,
Um,
leaking in.
yeah. Andres, how about you? You got 5 wrestlers over 40. Who would be on your roster?
Yeah, I'll put Orton, AJ, Kenny Omega. I'll throw Jericho in there too, just to have a little bit older. And I guess my
For
last one would
controversy?
be
Hogan?
yeah. And I
Flair.
guess I'll throw Lesnar.
Flair.
You said Lesnar?
Yeah.
Yeah, do it. David, who would you put in your roster of over 40s?
LA Knight.
Oh, that's true. I guess he's over 40.
Lashley.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny. Christian Cage.
Oh, yeah. Didn't think about him.
And the last pick. Oh, no.
Cope.
Gotta
Yeah.
have the tag team, bro.
I'm at Cope. You're out.
Honestly, I was also thinking of like
Probably
Jeff
Orton.
Hardy or Matt Hardy. I think I would
Yeah,
put
Hardys
the
are
Hardys
good.
in there.
Probably Ray. Like that 5th spot is gonna have to be Money in the Bank type match for the 5th spot.
Yeah.
But I'll give it to Ray. Gotta sell some ticks,
Yeah.
right? Huh? You gotta sell some ticks.
Exactly.
Bret
Sell some
Hart.
merchandise. Get those masks. Okay, here's the last question, and I think this is more interesting because this will require us to look at the younger wrestlers right now and think in the future. So, who do you feel like is a younger wrestler right now that you think has the potential to still be relevant in 20 years?
Hmm.
'Cause I think it's
Braun
kind of
Breaker.
hard. Braun Breaker? Huh, yeah, I could see
Devon
that.
Evans.
Devon Evans?
Javon Evans, he's in
Oh,
NXT.
Siobhan. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to
Dominic,
think of someone who's like really young. Dominic Mysterio, yeah.
he's only 20 years from now he'd be pushing 50.
What is he right now? Like 23, 4?
28, 29.
Dang. Yeah, I mean, he's still young. But he definitely, like, he's like Rhea Ripley, I think, is another one. I think she's in her 20s still, no? I don't
Yeah.
think she's in her 30s yet. It's crazy. For sure. Like, I mean, we didn't even talk about like the women over 40. Oh, I should have fucking put like Trish Stratus and Lita on there, but
Sexism.
that's fine. Sexism,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, we were just
We
thinking.
start making our top 5. You start thinking like 12-year-olds again.
Yes, exactly. I mean, like young wrestlers right now for sure. Like you said, Rhea Ripley. I mean, Dominic Mysterio,
Roxanne.
Roxanne Perez. I think she has the potential. I think we'll see. Because there's some people where I was like, oh, maybe like Dakota Kai, but then they let her go.
MJF's not old. He'll be like a prime old man by then.
That's true, and I think he's got the longevity for sure. He's got that like generational talent, so for sure him. Andres, who did you say? You said Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
Chris, who did you say?
I was still debating. I was thinking Osprey, but I was like, his body will probably be broken by then.
He'll be like AJ Styles by then.
Brian Danielson.
Yeah.
Well, it's like even look at 30-year-old AJ Styles, then watch an Osprey match now. You're just like, oh, okay.
Similar.
Yeah.
Is
Remember,
that your answer,
Osprey's a
Chris?
TNA kid.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm thinking, like trying to think like really young right now. Like that would be really it, because everybody else is like generally, mid 30s or something like that.
Yeah.
Jacob,
I mean,
who's 31.
yeah, I mean Jacob Fatu, I think that's another one. He also has that aura, and I'm really curious to see where they go with like this new bloodline, because they just added like 2 more people in one night, on top of like Tonga Loa returning and all that kind of stuff. So
Who else?
I don't know what else.
Oh well, Hikuleo and JC Mateo.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeff Cobb Mateo.
Or I said, yeah, Tonga Loa returned, and then I think what are they called? They're calling them Tonga.
Tonga.
Yeah, they were calling them something.
The tallest Tonga.
The tallest Tonga.
I'm be confused with all these damn names that are sounding similar as fuck.
Taller Tonga.
Yeah, taller Tonga, Tama Short King Tonga,
Tamagotchi.
But yeah. I don't think they will all be breakout stars. I mean, just surely. I mean, I guess they could be, but I don't think they are all going to do it. I think Jacob Fatu for sure. Solo Sikoa. I mean, how old is Solo Sikoa? He's got to also be only his
like 30.
Is he 20s?
He's early 30s.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got longevity. I want them to have him lean into the comedy, because I do think like there are some streaks of it where he's
funny,
goofy as shit. Yeah, I think if he leans more into that, like that, I think that would be good, because that kind of separates him from all the tough Samoans and Tongans that they have. He's 32.
I always think about when he had tickets to watch Jey Uso, and he's like, I got tickets. Look, it's all right. I got tickets. Yeet.
Yeah.
I got tickets. One for me, one for him. I got Yeet.
Just sitting. Is that the one where he's sitting in the crowd eating like popcorn and shit?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was good.
Or even like how during his post scrum for winning the title, he was like, I got 4 letters for you. Stop.
Yeah, it's just that funny, dumb as shit stuff that I think he should do more of.
How old is Kofi? Is he in over 40?
He's in his 40s. Yeah, he's in his 40s.
What about,
he's like CM Punk's age. Xavier Woods is younger. Woods is 38. And I don't. Has he held the title? I mean, I guess he's held the tag title, but I don't think he's held a singles title.
Nope, just King of the Ring.
That's crazy. He's also like a talent that I think is good, but like for whatever reason, They didn't give him a singles run. I feel like he should.
Because he left his hard drive open that one time.
Yeah, but then Paige still got. There was Kofi Mania, or I guess Kofi wasn't in that video. Paige still got.
Tag me in, brother.
Yeah.
Brad Maddox.
That was Brad Maddox. Yeah, I don't think his career went anywhere. But yeah, Paige still had titles even after that, so didn't stop her.
True.
Well, let's end on that. That's a wrap for this episode of Shytown Shoot Podcast. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, rate us, and leave your feedback. Tune in next time for more wrestling madness. Until then, keep marking out.